Reds, it's Talking Reds, Fridays Talking Reds. It's myself, Gareth Roberts, Neil Atkinson with me this time. And the big thing I think everyone's talking about in Liverpool world right now, certainly in my WhatsApp groups, is why the fuck have Liverpool not bought Timo Werner? Everything now indicates that it's a done deal with Chelsea. It's breaking news there on the BBC this morning that it's done. The Times are saying it's done. The Athletic are saying it's done. The Athletic have gone into great detail as well about why Liverpool haven't done it and how Chelsea did do it. Neil, are you surprised at all by this news? Because it seems like Liverpool have sort of been backing off for a while from this one.
I'm surprised by the swoop. I mean, this is a swoop. Yeah. You don't get many swoops these days. And this is a swoop from Chelsea. And, you know, it actually reminded me a little bit of us and Fabinho, where it went from, you know, you heard little bits every now and again, oh, Chelsea had a tiny little bit of interest in Timo Werner. Then yesterday, Chelsea have made contact with Timo Werner. Then it was they're prepared to pay the release clause. And then it was they've agreed terms. And there was loads of people, it was really funny on my timelines, at least, who were going, yeah, they've got to get a deal done though, haven't they? And then the next thing was, yeah, but they've got to agree terms and he's desperate to come to us. And then it was like, oh, they've agreed terms, have they? And there's a deal done. Oh, well. And there was a lovely little bit where some people were just out of time, still pouring scorn on it. And I think it's a funny one in that it's really strange. He sort of felt like a Liverpool player for ages, even though he's been absolutely hanging out for Liverpool to buy him. And that doesn't really happen if it feels like Liverpool are definitely going to buy you. So it's had this really sort of strange thing where I think we've all decided it makes sense. We've seen a little bit of there's a release clause diddle, and we pulled one of them with Minamino. There's the German factor. There's the fact that he's got a lot of pace and he's obviously a good player. And I'm not worried that we haven't bought him. I'm just my mild concern on this is that I think Chelsea are building quite a nice little unit there. Yeah. They've got Ziyech and they've got Werner, and I think that they could work really well together. They've got other really good players already present at the club who've all got room to grow. And my concern is more, you know, there's places I'd rather he'd have gone than Chelsea, to be quite honest with you. And that's my worry really more than anything else. But no, I'm not saying Chelsea going to click the fingers and catch us, but that is my sort of thing on it. So, yeah, there's all the reasons. The Athletic piece you mentioned is a good one. You know, there's rationale around Liverpool, and there is going to be. I think Liverpool are going to be making financial decisions and trying to sort of be aware of what's good and what's not for a period and work the ground out. But ultimately, if you ask me to rank Havertz, Sancho, and Werner, I'd probably rank them in the order I've just said them in terms of how good I think they are. I think Havertz looks a terrific player, and I think he's really shined since he's gone up front in this little change of shape from Leverkusen, and I've watched some of those games, and I think he looks the nearest thing on two legs to Bobby Firmino, and that's a bit of a problem that we've got. And I think Sancho looks absolute mustard. So, you know, it may well be that there's still one of them in the pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit in it as well, though, wasn't there, saying that sort of they'd, you know, obviously Liverpool had looked at Werner for a long time. It goes on about Klopp even sort of messaging him personally and getting him on board and all that kind of stuff. One of them revelations where you're going, is he allowed to do that?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think, you know, the sort of frustration from Liverpool fans, if you like, or some of them anyway, is understandable, isn't it? Because as you said, for a long time, it felt like it was done. And when he's mentioning our name and mentioning Jurgen Klopp in interviews over and over, you know, you're watching, you know, you go down that YouTube wormhole, you look up his stats, you start thinking how he's going to look in the Reds and all that kind of stuff. So it's a bit of a hard one to take, and especially as you say that it's ended up being Chelsea.
Yeah, he's a really good player, but I think we've got a sort of, like, really good players are going to play for other teams. Chelsea have already got some I wish we had. But then, you know, you then go, well, where would they fit into our starting 11? And then you go from there, and then you're having a squad players conversation. But it is a bit of a reminder, and I think it's an important one that, you know, for the club, but also for us as supporters, we can't stand still on the one hand, but on the other hand, other teams are going to have really good players. It's just the nature of football. Sometimes they've got good players, and then your job when you play them is to mitigate that. I think the other thing, if you want to look bigger picture, I think there's a fair shout that what all of this is going to do is it's going to further separate the top four, top six, whatever you want to call it, from everyone else. You know, Chelsea adding a Timo Werner makes them even more dangerous when they play against Brighton next season. And I think that's, you know, that sort of disparity in points and the idea that there's almost a mini Super League at the top and the rest of fodder. I think this crisis might underline that even more. Certainly if, you know, if Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, United all end up with almost mega squads because you know, everyone's looking to get some money in, so you're able to take people's best players for a certain price and go from there. So yeah, but you know, Chelsea are always going to have good players. But we've still got to beat them, and we're the ones in possession of a 100-point season. Whether we get there or not, we're in possession of it. Chelsea have got to grow from a 76-point season to get to our level.
There's some stuff as well going on, which I guess because it will coincide with this. Again, I can sort of join. I haven't seen the behaviour of lots of footy fans over a long period of time. There's more boring news that people are going to be like, oh, I'm not bothered about that. I just want to Timo Werner. But Melissa's put in a piece that it's like Liverpool's priority now to get Van Dijk and Alisson tied down to better deals, newer deals, and longer deals. And you know, as I say, it's not the big woo, but it's very, very important because those two have been absolutely brilliant for us.
They're generational talents. Like Timo Werner's a really good player, a really good centre forward. He really is. So let's not talk him down now because he's not going to come to the Reds. Can't go, oh, he's shit anyway. You know, let's not be like that. But he's a really good player. But Van Dijk is the best centre back on the planet by a distance. You know, people now hear me on shows talk about Koulibaly, and I'm like, if you think he's number 2 to Van Dijk, then there is a huge gulf between the two, and that tells you where Van Dijk is. Van Dijk's incredible, and Alisson's the same, and I think they can. And Liverpool in general have got a little bit of an age thing they're going to have to engage with. I've said, you know, there's a lot of 21 to 25, we've only got 2 players who are functioning for us in the first team. In any meaningful sense, we're in good nick, sort of 18 to 21. You know, there's a lot of excitement there, but 21 to 24, there's only Gomez and Alexander-Arnold who have got any time on the pitch this season that's meaningful. You can't include Chiravella. We've got a decent crop around 25, 26. I think the exception for 27, 28 is the centre-back and the goalkeeper, in that it doesn't take a massive act of imagination to see Virgil van Dijk still playing every week for Liverpool at the age of 35. That he might have to adapt his game a little bit in a few different ways. And the same can be said of the goalkeeper. You know, the goalkeeper is currently the best goalkeeper in the world. And you haven't seen Bayern Munich. You know, I think there's been a couple of question marks at different times around Manuel Neuer. But Manuel Neuer's been the best goalkeeper in the world, and Bayern Munich aren't desperate to sort out a new one anytime soon. Alisson can do 10 years for Liverpool, and Van Dijk can do another 5. And I think getting that secure is massive because they are defining talents. You know, Timo Werner is going to come in and have to compete with Tammy Abraham, and I mean that with respect to both players. Van Dijk and Alisson aren't competing with anyone. If they're fit, they play. Yeah, you know, that's the way it works.
Is there maybe a reality here, do you reckon, mate, where we've got to maybe, you know, like if you think about the start of last season and everyone wanting a big sign and then it didn't happen, and there was a little bit of complaint around that, and then they've gone the season that they've had, the season that will soon restart, and the season where we'll see them win the league. Do you think maybe we've got to maybe think, because of the crisis, because of the finances, which has been mentioned around this Werner deal as a reason why Liverpool didn't do it, we maybe have to accept that they maybe don't do any big business again, and that maybe some of the players that they might have shifted on, I'm thinking maybe Shaqiri, for instance, maybe he just keeps hold of them for now and says, you know, we'll just keep our powder dry and we'll go when we know we're definitely all right and when we see an opportunity.
Maybe he also keeps hold of them because there isn't the offer that they want as well. Yeah. You know, I think Shaqiri and Origi are 2 really good examples of massive uncertainty. I think both, if this hadn't all hit, would have left the club. But right now, I think Liverpool would have done Shaqiri, but they'd have done it for 25 million, 30 million. But right now, who's got 25 million, 30 million that they're going to put on Jurgen Shaqiri? We don't know what the answer to that is. Origi, for me, is a £40 million centre-forward for someone. But is that someone with Wolves? And do Wolves now want to do this? And we don't know what the answer to that is. So I think Liverpool will be looking to get a little bit of clarity around those sorts of things before they make their own mind up. And we are going to have to wait a tiny little bit. I think the other thing, though, as well, is what are you bringing them in for? So if ultimately they look at Werner and they look at him and they think, yeah, we can get him at a reduced rate, but it's a big deal. It's a lot of money as wages, but we can do it. We can make it work. But we actually genuinely don't think he is a match for any of the 3, and he won't be for 2 seasons. We think he's just one rung below, and one rung below still makes him a really good player, but he's one rung below. If they think that, then we end up in a situation where they're saying, well, it's actually worth doing. Is it actually just them worth doing?
Yeah.
They may well feel as though if there's a player that's more expensive, and I keep citing the other two in the Bundesliga, Havertz and Sancho, well, they may well be able to exceed the levels of the others. So therefore, it's worth paying a little bit more money in order to get them in. But what you're not going to do is do 2 or 3. You've got to almost pick one. Also, to just to get them on the pitch. So I think there will have to be a little bit of patience. I think we'll almost have to see how it shakes out. I do think they will want to get additional cover and to get genuine competition, which currently they don't have for the front 3. And I think they will also want to buy players aged between 21 and 24. I think all of those things will be true. And I am expecting them to do a couple of bits, and one of those bits might be quite significant. But I think it will all be seen in the context of, well, what's the actual pathway for this player, not just adding to what we've got, but making us better.
Yeah, okay. The other big news last sort of 24 hours or so is that the Merseyside derby is likely to be on Sunday, June the 21st, in a prime time slot of 7 p.m. Great news for me personally. It's my birthday that day. I've never ever watched the Reds play on my birthday, so this will be a new one.
It's another category of derby for you, like beating Everton on your birthday, beating Everton when we make a huge amount of squad rotation, then beating Everton with, as Dave Downey referred to them, the Rugrats. It's great to have a new classification in which you beat Everton.
Yeah, indeed, it is. I'm massively looking forward to it. I mean, it's still waiting for some clarification that it will be then, and there's various other little bits and bobs to sort out, the safety advisory group stuff, the police stuff, and all the rest of it. But seeing that list yesterday, something concrete now, some like proper way forward. That was exciting, wasn't it? That to me felt like we've obviously talked about all of this a lot all the way through. You've been doing your What Next podcast and all that about how football will return, could return, all the rest of it. This now feels dead concrete and actually dead exciting.
Oh, there's something amazing about the fixture list, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, when you got to see the games and I'm already working out the ones I'm going to fuck off. The ones I'm not going to watch. Like, it's easier to do that. I'm like, I reckon we won't. I won't hot mic those ones, and I probably won't even watch them either. And I was looking at it going right the way through on the list. It's great. It really does feel as though it's just around the corner now as well. It's closer than you think. It's a week on Wednesday for the first one back, and it is a really strange thing that just simply seeing a fixture list rather than a block of fixtures that will happen between some dates. They're all, there's some really good games as well. Put us to one side. Those FA Cup quarterfinals look tremendous, to be quite honest with you. And, they'll all go to extra time and penalties if it's level at the end of play. And that's got me excitement as well. That's something a bit different. But seeing us and that Sunday night one, I just think it looks absolutely perfect. I think, it is that idea of being prime time, that idea of, Sky are going to put out for free as well, which is good. So a lot of people will be able to watch it. And I think that's valuable. And it's a real opportunity, I think, for the Premier League to sort of reconnect with a lot of people. Some people it's lost. Not just the BBC stuff, if Sky and BT put stuff out for free as well. And just the Reds there, Sunday night against Everton. It'll just be tremendous and it'll feel great. And it's also just something defined to look forward to. That's the difference. So far, it's been, we'll play these games and we're becoming increasingly confident these games will be played. But now I can tell you what I'm doing a week on Sunday or 2 weeks on Sunday, and I can tell you I'm really excited about it. Really, really excited about it. I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing.
I think what you said there is interesting as well, because it's reminded me of a couple of things that have been said on shows that we've done over the past few months, really. Like one being, I remember when we were doing a bedding in, which seems absolutely ages ago now, because obviously that was literally in a pub, and I know there haven't been any pubs for some time. But I remember you saying, you wonder whether, Nans would love the Premier League, but they might never find out because they haven't got a subscription to Sky. So to have these games on the normal telly, if you like, is definitely a good thing, because I think it's easy to forget about that loads of people are sort of locked out of this football bubble. They don't, they can't afford or don't want the TV subscriptions. They can't afford, to go to games. And they'll obviously be more than aware that Liverpool are playing or exist, and we'll still have a sort of passive support. But it's nice for them, isn't it? Because the other thing I was going to say was that we put the parade video out there, and I think it's Andy on one of the voiceovers on the parade talking about, that's another one, isn't it? An opportunity for everyone to come out of their doors and see Liverpool lifting the European Cup like on your streets in your city. But again, a lot of the time you're locked out, perhaps, for a lot of those people.
We lock those people out, and I don't mean that we, the Anfield Rap, or even you and I, but what I mean is, like, casual supporters, we all want to watch us win the league with our mates, and that's going to be, it's going to be a real loss that we're not going to get that in the way in which we wanted it. But there's a lot of casual Liverpool supporters in our households who because we're basically anti-social almost about this football thing. We're very social with our football people, but we are anti-social about this football thing. And we find ourselves in this scenario where we lock those people out because they don't feel it the way we feel it. This is an opportunity to find a bit of middle ground, I think. There's a lot of casual football supporters in this country. There's a lot of people who just watch Match of the Day. There'll be some of those people in our households, and let's bring them into the fold. Not have the idea of, oh, I'm resentful that I haven't got this the way in which I wish I had it, but instead see it as a positive. Let's bring those people with us. So now when, if you went to the parade and you went with your family, well, you can share the winning the league with your family. You can share it all together in a way that you wouldn't have been able to, and you wouldn't have chosen to, and they wouldn't have expected. But now that's there for you. And listen, it's not the same. And I know what I'd rather have. But if we're going to accentuate a positive, the idea of being able to bring more people into our gang, into our fold, well, that's a good thing. It always is. And that's what this offers. And it offers it right the way up and down the country, right the way across the world. Wherever you are, you can choose now to share this with someone you possibly wouldn't have. And I think that that's a huge positive.
Yeah. Pyro on the porch, Peroni in the park, whatever it may be. Some other news just sort of breaking the last sort of half an hour or so while we've been setting this up, recording this, is that the Women's Super League title has been decided on a points per game ratio, which means Chelsea have won it, but also means that Liverpool have been relegated. The Reds, it says here, are disappointed with how with how the season has been concluded. I mean, I bet they are. And another team not very far away from here is currently involved in a bit of a fight along these lines as well. Tranmere, in that they want an opportunity for a fair way to end the league, and that they're arguing that some of the proposals in that league aren't fair. I mean, it seems a bit. We've done this with the sort of the amateur footy, the non-league footy, the lower league footy. We talked about all that in a similar way. That it's a really unsatisfactory way of sorting this out, isn't it? Just going, nah, that's it.
It is. But from the WSL point of view, from a Liverpool point of view, they've been bottom for a while. And I think there's something here where we've got to be careful. I've got to be careful. I last couple of seasons, I haven't seen anywhere near enough women's football. And the Anfield Rap, as far as I'm concerned, hasn't covered it anywhere near enough or anywhere near well enough. And what I don't want to do here is end up speaking in a way which I feel as though is hypocritical. All of that said, I think that looking around from what a number of different people are saying and how they're saying it and how they're going about the business on it, I think there's a problem that ultimately people who are closer to the women's team than I am and have been, are saying things like, hopefully this will act as the kick that Liverpool need. I spoke to Sarah Shepherd, who wrote something for The Athletic about it, and she was quite stinging about Liverpool. There's a feeling within people who cover the women's game, people who work within the women's game, and the people who watch Liverpool Women, who actively support Liverpool Women, whether in person or over television, that this is Liverpool getting what they deserve. Now, that might be harsh. We might not agree with that. We might not like that. But that's it feels like an industry-wide thing, that Liverpool haven't done this very well. That isn't even necessarily an indictment of the coach, Vicky Jepson, who we've had on shows at different times, but that the infrastructure that's been around, the planning, the way in which Liverpool have looked at this over a long period, that things haven't been right and things needed to be better. And ultimately, someone's got to get relegated. Aston Villa are ready to come up from the Women's Championship. And if they've had a good enough season, that needs to happen. And therefore, someone's got to go down. And it's striking to me. And as I say all of this knowing that I'm saying this in the context of, me personally. I don't feel the Anfield Rap has been good enough. I really don't. And I'm happy to say that and not feel, something to reflect on, something to improve on. But ultimately the people who have run in Liverpool Football Club, as I say, the industry in inverted commas around women's football feel like Liverpool haven't been good enough. The people who go the game feel like Liverpool haven't been good enough. They haven't been taking it seriously enough, or they haven't been planning well enough, one or the other, and both are bad. Neither are worthy, neither are worthy of credit. And so I think, this is what happens, and there's a decision to be made now for the football club. Do they want to be taken seriously in this sphere? If they do, then the thing to do is to start planning for next season and find a way to come back up. But there's been statements from women's players who've left in the last sort of month or so, whose contracts are coming up, who haven't renewed, and they've been saying stuff about wanting to go to environments that are more challenging for them, for their own growth. And women's football's got this really strange, opaque omerta around it where people don't speak. So that's actually a really strongly worded statement by the standard of women's football. You don't get that. And I think that, again, that's something that needs to change for the women's game. And there's loads of questions about the women's game, full stop. I think that this season they should have done everything they could to finish. They should have found a way to get themselves on television. It is elite sport, women's football. It has to view itself as elite sport. But that means for us, the Anfield Wrap, but also for Liverpool, for Liverpool supporters, if you're not good enough. And let's be clear about this. Liverpool have played this season 14 games. They've won 1. In 14 games, they've scored 8 goals. This is poor. And there's a few reasons, and I think they've actually been a bit unlucky. But everyone's saying they haven't been right. And this is what happens in sport if you're not right.
Yeah, there does seem to have been a bit of a revolving door for a couple of years now as well at Liverpool. That I've certainly noticed in terms of talent going out, turnover of players, turnovers of coach and staff, which to me always points to maybe things not being quite right there. But as you say, it may well be something that we can start to get stuck into as time goes on and maybe find out a bit more about what is going on and what the plans are. I wanted to get you, before we go on, Jurgen Klopp. Obviously, you got to spend 22 minutes with the man over Zoom. Cracking interview. I had a good listen to it the other day, and we talked about it on Talking Reds, me and Rob. But you, the man who got to do the interview, how was Big Jurgen, and did you have any sort of little off-camera moments or anything that we didn't get to see?
Not really. You pretty much, for the minute he sits down, we just started because I was conscious that it was a set period of time, but also I think it's important to respect that, because Jurgen doesn't need to do it, and the club don't need to do that. But also it's a bit different because you've done them in the past, and basically you can see Matt McCann, and so the Matt will go, all right, yeah, if you're getting close to your time, but Matt's enjoying it, and he thinks Jurgen is, so you can sort of string it along. But in this instance, because it was just a Zoom and all I could do was see Jurgen, I'm going along with it, and I think Matt had said to Andy, it's good this, it's all right for time, but there was no way of getting that message to me because I wasn't going to check my phone while I'm on with the big man. You know what I mean? Watch it. Jurgen sees me check my phone, he'd slaughter me, and he'd go, I'm the Liverpool manager, what are you doing, you prick? But as it finished, it was, so we started it bang on, it was 1:30 the hour, and it got done. And I'm like, thanks, Jurgen, that was great. I had a little laugh with him that you heard at the end. And then as he's sort of getting up, I heard him say to Matt, I've got 10 minutes to check my emails here. So I think he'd said 20, thinking, it might be 30 and all that sort of stuff. Or if he comes in late and you've got the time boxed off. But he was bang on time. I got it sorted and didn't feel as though, as I say, I didn't want to feel like I was taking the piss, basically. Yeah. But yeah, it was really funny. It was a really oddly human thing to hear, which I've done. A meeting finishes early and you're like, 10 minutes? What can I do with this? 10 minutes to check my emails.
Grab a baby, yeah. I just enjoyed, without getting into the specifics, because we want people to obviously go and listen to it. And if you don't subscribe to the Anfield app, you can download the app, get some free tokens, and you can watch it that way. And then you've got a bit of a taster of what we've been doing there and why you're in there. Have a go with some of the other stuff, see what you think, and hopefully subscribe. But just in more general terms, without the spoilers, then I just really enjoyed just hearing them talking about the club again, about the team, and the constant, like the level of drive and passion he's got lifts you, doesn't it? Because there's top flight managers that you see get interviewed, and you think, or I think when I'm watching it, you look a bit bored, mate. You're all right. Do you know what I mean? But you never get that with Jurgen, do you?
No, I think he enjoys it so much. And I think one of the things I got just from it in terms of doing it there and then was how much he was enjoying just being back working with the players. And I think he's always talked about that, and I've always got that vibe from him. You know, he wants to be around the players, he wants to watch them train, he wants to improve them, he wants to work with them on themselves. And I just think he's driven by that. And I think it's going to happen again soon. We're going to do this when's Jurgen going to leave thing soon.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why Jurgen's gone about this the way in which he has so far is he always wants to make sure he's got that drive. And he wants to enjoy it. He's not going to do it if he doesn't enjoy it. And I think he's going to take a bit of time, check himself. And I actually think this period may well get us 3 more years of Jurgen Klopp, because he's just had a big bowl of what it's like when he's not managing Liverpool. And he's going to go, I didn't like that really. So I think that could have re-energised him or certainly prolonged that, because it's an interesting little taste of what not managing. And I don't think now, like if you're Jurgen Klopp, we're European champions, we're about to win the Premier League. We are phenomenal. There isn't an argument what you want to go and start from scratch at Real Madrid. No. This is Klopp's last club job. He might become German coach at some point, but it's his last club job. And so therefore it is, so this is your day-to-day, Jurgen. If you love your day-to-day, this is the last time you'll get to do it. And I think there's every chance that, he did the contract extension, but I think there's every chance he ends up extending again, because this is what he lives for. And he's now seen what it's like when it's not there. And I just think, this is, he glows with how much he enjoys it. And I think when you get that taken away from you, however briefly, you have a reminder. And I do wonder whether or not he may well end up thinking to himself, I don't want to rush into that too early. We might get another couple of years because now he has tasted it when he wasn't going to have to. And if he still feels like, this is me, then fantastic.
I love how he's just under, there's no illusion with him. He knows that we're going to be all right for the party, and as well, he's seen how we partied for the European Cup, and he's like, nah, this City will be all right. We'll work that out. Don't you worry about us. I loved all that.
You mentioned the parade video before, Gareth, and your voice is on it. And after hearing that, after getting that sense from Jurgen, it almost redoubled. Like I'm so pleased and proud of that, the work that we all did on it, the work that Sam did going right the way back. And the reason why is because you can see what it means to Jurgen.
Yeah.
And that sort of makes you go, well, yeah, this is what we're all in it for. And if it means that to Jurgen, it'll mean that to the players as well. And that video, it's great, and it represents what they could see. And imagine seeing all that, not just for 10 minutes in our video, but for 3 hours of your life.
Yeah.
You'd just feel amazing.
Absolutely, and they must want more of it, and they will get more of it. We know they will. Something we want to win now, because we've got our egos that need to be fed. Is the Listener's Choice Award in the British Podcast Awards. We've found out that we've basically come really, we've got silver in this twice now. Both times losing out to BBC podcasts, who obviously have potentially got a much bigger audience than us. So this time around, we're starting early, we're starting hard, we're going for it. We want to win this Listener's Choice Award. We've been banging on about it across our social media and on shows. We're banging on about it again here. Basically, you just need to go to britishpodcastawards.com/vote. In the Listener's Choice Award, just search for the Anfield app, vote for us there. You have to fill your email in, you'll get an email, you've got to confirm your vote, check your spam folder, all that kind of stuff. And then when you've done it, please encourage other people to do it too, because we really, really want to win, don't we? We've won some stuff, we've won plenty of stuff in the past, to be fair, which has all been lovely, but it kind of feels like a bit of a while now, and it feels like we need a nice new shiny one.
There's that, but also there's the haven't come second in it 3 times. Does feel a bit like, oh, come on.
I know.
And then you found out we came really, really close, and I was like, oh, well, this is ridiculous. So it would be nice to win for a variety of different reasons, but also, we're obviously pleased and proud of what we do, but there's a lot of people who work with us on what we do, and it isn't just it's just me and Gareth, or me, Gareth and John, or throw Andy in, or whoever. There's a lot of people who contribute to the Anfield Wrap, and all of those people give something of themselves. So it will be fantastic to win, and we're also very influenced by the audience, by the listeners themselves, and so and also we're needly as fuck. So we'd like to win for that reason as well. So if you're behind, basically a vote for us is a vote for Needle. See it that way. Vote Tour 2020, the Needly option.
Is right. Well said. We'll stick the link in the description. So if you're watching this and you want to vote for us right now, go and have a look in the description. Click the link. Have a go. Have a go with the Anfield app as well. As I always do say, like I say, you can download the app and you can get all our content on there. Check out the website if you don't want to do that, theanfieldapp.com as well. Loads of writing on there this week. Loads of stuff to get stuck into. Free stuff, paid for stuff, video, podcast, and writing. We've carried on all the way through. We're going to keep on going. Have a boss weekend, whatever. We started, so we've got to finish. Whatever you're doing this weekend, enjoy yourselves, and footy is on the horizon. Up the fucking Reds.